Hey, did you know that Sonic had a rough transition to 3D? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard that about a million times because you've been on the internet for more than 5 minutes. Out of all of the Sonic games, Sonic Generations tends to be one of the ones held in higher regard, and I mean, fair enough, the game is really good. Despite being one of the boost games, which tend to just be hold square to win, it actually has quite a lot going on. There's a lot of branching pathways, there's a lot of collectibles to find, there's 2 different gameplay styles, loads of little challenges, charming story, great music. There's a lot to like here. But I found it quite weird when it was leaked that Sega were going to be remaking Sonic Generations for modern consoles because something about it just doesn't seem to make sense. Sonic Generations, despite releasing in 2011, has not aged a day. Jesus Christ, Sonic Generations released in 2011. It may not have aged a day, but I certainly have. But that's the thing, the game is very modern, it still looks beautiful, and it's accessible on PC and modern Xbox consoles. So it's not like this game was in dire need of a remake. Most people can get access to it, and there's nothing about it that needs retweaking. And on PC, there is infinite amount of mod content for this game. It is one of the greatest modding games of all time. So when I heard about it, when I heard Sonic Generations was getting a remake, I was skeptical. To me, it just kind of seemed like, Sega thought this is the popular Sonic game, we can remake it, make quite a lot of money, minimal effort, you know? And I thought, I own Generations on PC, I've played the game like 6 times, I'm gonna skip it. There's no point in a remake of an already perfect game. But then they slapped X Shadow on the end of it, and all of a sudden I'm very interested. Getting a whole new Shadow campaign for Generations is gonna be awesome, and it's gonna make me buy it, despite the fact that I don't think this game needs to be remade. Like I said earlier in this video though, it's oversaid, but Sonic did have a rough transition into 3D. And that kind of opens him up for a lot of remake and remaster potential. Even some of the more beloved games in this series would really benefit from the remake treatment. Generations is kind of the only one that didn't need it. So let's take a look at some Sonic games that could get a remake and really think, why did they pick this one? Obviously, it seems like they're on a warpath to remaking all these games. A few years ago, they did Sonic Colors, and that one was a mixed bag, wasn't it? Sonic Colors was a game stuck on the Wii, and it wasn't even in HD. It very much needed the remake, and the remake was very much a welcome addition to the Sonic collection of games, but it was a bit wonky, wasn't it? Like, it wasn't bad. This is serviceable, but just a lot of weird changes that didn't need to be changed to the music. There was that really bad Metal Sonic screenshot, remember that? So while Sonic Colors Ultimate was just fine, Sonic Shadow Generations looks to be a cleaner remake than that. So if they get this one right, I think a good option to go for next, if they really want to push the boat out, if they really want to make their fans happy, is remake Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2. It's the obvious pick, they're the most popular games in the series. But unfortunately, Sega seems to be allergic to anything out of the adventure era. I mean, they've only just brought Shadow back, but it would be really cool to see how they handle this gameplay style without the boosting, with more control over Sonic. It would be really interesting to see how they handle this in 2024. These games have style. These games may have aged, and their aesthetic is very much of their time, but I want them to keep all that the same. The hardcore 90s feel is what makes these games what they are. So if you keep all the music, keep all the aesthetics, and just update the controls and give it a bit of a facelift, I think you're on for a real banger here. Plus we can go into Adventure 3 after it, nudge nudge, wink wink. A bit of a wildcard choice for Sonic remakes would be the Storybook series. Remember Sonic and the Secret Rings and the Black Knight? Someone at Sonic Team must have been smoking some really hard drugs when they thought, should we make some Sonic games where we put him in famous public domain storybook series? And I know these games were controversial at the time, but I don't know, they're kinda hard. Like, from a gameplay point of view, Secret Rings blows, but the idea of Arabian Nights Sonic, pretty sick. And Black Knight was cooking with this. This is objectively the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. So, Sega, if you want to be weird and if you want to make me happy specifically, remake these games. Put them in 4K on the PS5 and let me live out my Sonic with a sword fantasy once again. Unleashed is the other obvious one, isn't it? This game is so good, and it's so underrated, and I think over time people have come to appreciate it more. But it's held back by the consoles it's stuck on. Even though it is backwards compatible on the current Xbox, it still has weird frame drops and a bit of jankiness, which I think a modern port would smooth right out. Add some quality of life changes for some of the more stupid bits of the game, and I think Sonic Unleashed could make a comeback in a major way. And it could be where it belongs, on the upper echelons of Sonic game tier lists. Sega, if you got balls, remake Sonic 06, you won't. I kind of have a weird appreciation for Sonic 06. I don't think it's good, of course it's not good, it's a terrible game. If you think it's good, you're deluded. But I kind of like having that community-wide punching bag. So I would be a bit upset if they remake Sonic 06 and it's good, but also, this game has so much wasted potential. Despite the fact that the game controls like ass and you fall through the floor every 5 seconds, there are so many elements of Sonic 06 that you look at it and think, with more time, this could have been really cool. And I know there's the famous Project 06 mod, and what they're doing with that is great. The game controls and plays beautifully. But I think the game is going to need more wholesale changes than that. And it's something only Sega could do with a Sega budget. Build on the foundations Project 06 had and make something truly great. But what do you think? What Sonic game should get remade? Because I think Generations, it's a great game, but does it really deserve the remake? No. If Shadow wasn't here, less people would care. Also, while we're there, remake Shadow the Hedgehog. The era of shunning that game is over. Shadow the Hedgehog with a gun is the coolest thing to ever happen, and if you say otherwise, you are stupid. I am all of me. Subscribe because I make the best content in the world. I'm the best in the world. And leave a like on the video. With all that out of the way, I'll see you in the next one.